And everything. Let's see, will this work? Okay, that was just intro. That's better. Put it a bit down the music so people can hear me because the mic is on today. First, let's share a link. Righty. So, people know we're live. The music should be royalty free, I hope, because yesterday I used some music where the description of the video said it was royalty free, but it was not. So I got, I think, 9 copyright claims, but who cares? Just got demonetized. But anyway, let's share the feed on Twitter as well. Why not? I need some tea. It's hot. Let's get on these PlusDlights. Ask me anything, by the way. Hey, Stuart. Hey, GL Picard. How are you guys? So I think I spent enough here. Tweet! Why isn't there any preview? Should be a preview on Twitter, I thought. No preview. Anyway. And yep. Alright. Let's get this started. And tell me if oh, thank you, Ben. Tell me if anything is wrong with the sound. I hope you can hear the background music. It's a 2.5-hour track with lots of electronic music, which I like and which should be royalty free, because I can use ZX Spectrum music, of course. There are enough tracks that you can play in the background, but sometimes I like something else, and I usually put on some trance music or Jean-Michel Jarre or something like that when I'm working, but I just can't, because all the videos will get demonetized. I don't like that. Hence I try to use royalty-free or copyright-free tracks from YouTube, and I found a couple, but they're not all legit. I really have to check if they're really free of copyright, so I can use them. So let's see if this works. Hey Armando, hey, oh Ben, I already said good, hello. So I think you like when I'm talking during the stream, which is no problem, but sometimes I just need to work, you know. I need to get to work. And I try to combine the two, and hence I sometimes just put on video and put some music in the background. But anyway, not that important. Okay, let's see if everything is set up. I think so. Yep. So I'm trying to keep track of which YouTube channels are legit when it comes to copyright-free music and which are not. And there are other sources as well, but I like to use it this way. I think it's better. So I'm wearing my Zilog shirt today, which is designed by Steve Smith. And of course the design is a Z80 chip, which is quite obvious, of course. Just let me put... oh, I have to stop a background process, I forgot that. Shut up now. Right, so I'm set up and let's get to work. And I'm afraid I have to make some noise, but maybe I will keep the extraction hood switched off, because It's a lot of noise. I don't like that. And there's enough fresh wind blowing in now, so that's good enough. I hope I have enough light. I think, yeah, I installed some LEDs here a week ago. I think that's better, especially for the camera. So I think the picture is quite clear. Alpha channel bar interview. Okay, I have to check that. Hey, Peter. I'm getting some messages. Let me check in the meantime. Oh, it says ByteDelight live on your YouTube channel. Really? I didn't know that. By the way, I switched back to the original YouTube studio, which is 10 years old or more. And the YouTube development team tries to get people over to the new YouTube studio, which is still beta for I think about a year. And it's really a pain to use. Oh, sorry for the noise. That's outside. It's not here. So the new YouTube studio, really, I don't get it. And I'm not the only one who's saying that. I saw some other people doing live streams which complained about it as well. And I thought, well, they must be doing it wrong or something, but they were not. It's really a pain to use, so let's not use it. Thank you, JL. I think you like it. It's credited in the description of this video what music it is, and it's from one YouTube channel, and in his description he says people should really credit all the other authors, so I did. Ask me anything if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine with me as well. So let's get these chips on and these boards prepped. Maybe it's cool to tell some background things about the PlusDlight. I started with this over 6 years ago, I think. And my goal was to replace all the discrete logic chips, the logic chips, not discrete logic, with one CPLD chip. But there were a couple of reasons that failed. And the main reason is that a GAL chip or a PAL chip, which was used on the original PlusD and the logic chips, to replace those takes another, let's call it mindset, compared to programming GAL or PAL chips. The CPLD works a bit differently. You cannot use, for example, an output directly connected to an input of the same chip, because there are delays in the chip, and it will be quite impossible. So instead of doing that, you have to rethink of your programming, your if you want to call it equations or something. So you have to rewrite the combinatorial logic to statements that will work in a CPLD chip, and for me that was too much to do back then. I think I could do it nowadays, but these interfaces don't sell that much, so I won't bother. I think I sell a couple of months, so not that much. I'm making PlusDlights, as the description or the title says. So these are floppy interfaces, floppy disk interfaces, and I still like to work with floppies, and I think other people do as well, but not everyone does. I think mostly the people that really like to embrace complete nostalgic feeling in its full glory, and for me that's including floppy drives, even micro drives and wafer drives, and I have everything. I just don't have time to play with it that much. But floppy drives have something special. my first computer was a ZX Spectrum 48K, my second one was a Toast Rack, and after I got the Toast Rack, I think 1.5 years later or something like that, I got a Disciple disk interface and some 5.25 inch drives, and for me that was the best time ever. So for me it has a special place. And the PlusD is just the light version of the Disciple disk interface. I think the Disciple was made first, and afterwards the PlusD was made. And that was mainly, I think, because the Disciple was too expensive for many people. I'm not sure what the price was back then, but in the meantime, here in Holland we got to using Euro, so it's hard to tell prices in current currencies. So let's not do that. But it was expensive, the Disciple, and I got one anyway, second hand, I think. But many other people use the PlusD for a lot as well, and it's basically the same interface. The only main difference is that the PlusD does not have a throughput connector, it does not have an inhibit interface, and it does not have the network functionality that the Disciple is. But it's the same disk format and same syntax, as you know, so it's not quite different. Hey, Mark! South Africa? I'm not in South Africa. What are you talking about? Oh, the other Ben. Sorry. Okay. Well, I think it's hotter than in Holland, Ben. It's only 8 degrees outside here. And it's clouded, but it's not raining today. So I think I'd rather be in Africa at the moment. Anyway, I hope it will start snowing, because I like snow. Let's see. These are all the chips. Oh. I hope the camera will not move. It's still not moving. Come on, Mark, I get what he's saying. You should be able to do that as well. Right, so when I developed the PlusDlight, I stopped using the CPLD approach, and I just cloned the original design, but I used as many SMD parts as I could. But I had trouble finding some chips in SMD package back then. I think I will be able to find them now, because I've got a lot of more sources than 10 years ago. And also I was trying to find CMOS variants of the TTL chips, and for some it turned out those didn't work. Even the HCT, so the TTL compatible CMOS chips, that didn't completely work, so I just used TTL chips, LS types from the well-known 74 series, and I'm using those, and I'm using some HCT types because they work. So it's just a simple clone, as you can say. The only thing that I needed to do, and actually someone else did that, I found out that the printer initialization routine in the ROM sometimes causes problems if there's not actually a parallel port installed. So we had to disable that routine in the ROM, so the ROM is a bit different. And I upgraded the GAL chip, which this board is still using, because I'm not using a CPLD. So it also takes the reset line into account, making booting more reliable. So those two improvements have been done on this design. So it's not a complete clone, but it's very close to an original PlusD, but it has a integrated joystick port as well, like most of my products. Because I think because there's no throughput port, I thought, well, just add one. People who like PlusDlight or the PlusD will most probably play games on it from floppy. For example, if you can obtain the Outsoft package, which contains I think about 75 discs filled with games. Well, you will mostly be playing games from floppy disk, so why not integrate a joystick interface? So chips first. I use build guides, by the way. Maybe you know, maybe you've seen them before. They are on this paper here. But it's of course not that important if you start with chips or discrete SMD components. Doesn't matter that much, as long as you do not start with the higher parts, because you will be in trouble when you want to solder the lower SMD parts. Sometimes you cannot reach the parts easily anymore. And I also like to design boards so I know that I can replace parts later if I need to, like SMD chips and more. So shut up. Oh, the people with fireworks. I hate them. I don't like to put one part underneath another one. Some people do. There are lots of designs where people put SMD parts underneath an IC socket, for example. But I don't think it's good practice, because it's really hard if you need to replace one or something. I don't like that. So I tend to make the board or either a bit bigger or think of something else. So I always think of being able to maintain the boards as well as only using them. But of course the main goal is that they just work. But the eyes, I think the aesthetics of a board are important as well. That's what I think. Some on tea today. I had some coffee this morning, but I have a slight headache, so it's not out enough. Been doing some other things this morning with my daughter, and I have to get back to work because there's so much work to do. People are waiting, people are complaining, and they're totally right. Yesterday I started with a list of the activities I need to do for improving my administration. So from starting with the 1st of January next year, so in 4 days, I'm going to create invoices for every order. So before I was mainly using the ByteDelight webshop orders and the PayPal payments. That was enough for my administration until now. But for example, when Brexit arrives, I need to make clear when an invoice is including VAT or not. So I just want to start with using invoices for all orders, which also automates a lot of work. So I'm going to automate the things I do by hand at this moment. So when an order arrives in my mailbox, the software will automatically create a folder for the order emails. We'll move all the emails to the folder, and it will create an invoice automatically. And of course, on the invoice, there are all the products that are ordered are on the invoice, and that will make it a bit more easy to have everything together for picking an order and finishing the box. So it will be a lot more easy and more professional. And I'm doing that in an agile way. So. As little as my company may be, I'm still interested in working in an agile way. So I started with creating some sprints, some release sprints you can call them, and with every sprint I want to have a complete working product, and the product will be more complete with every sprint, of course. So I was thinking what functionality I want to include with the first sprint, and I was brainstorming about that with my wife yesterday. And we came to a nice complete set of
functionality. So for the first sprint, I know exactly what I have to develop, and I will develop it in Visual Basic for applications, not in .NET or something. I could do that, but it's a lot more work, and I like to keep it simple. It's good enough if I do it in Excel with Visual Basic for applications. So it will be an automated process from Visual Basic for applications from Excel that will control my Outlook software from Excel, and it will do exactly what I've been doing by hand, but then automatically, of course. I'm checking these capacitors because you cannot read if it's correct value, and sometimes there are wrong values in my cabinets here, so I have to check them from time to time. For example, for the dia cards, I picked 100 nanofarad capacitors instead of 10 nanofarads for some reason, and that will cause the LEDs to blink much more slowly than they should. So hence I need to make sure that there are actually 10 nanofarad capacitors in those. Fortunately, I found out before shipping the ones that had a faulty capacitor on it, so it wasn't a big problem. But even then, I must make sure that's the correct value. There are some other improvements for ByteDelight will come very soon. Hey Jean-Claude! For example, I will start offering the products on more international eBay sites, also from next week. So Portuguese, Spanish, American, German, and maybe some other as well, French, I think. So people have more ways ordering our products from in the local language and in their local currencies, which will help with the sales, because I'm doing this for a living, as I'm always telling people, and I need to make sure that I'm selling enough products to keep making it possible to keep doing this. And if I don't, I have to quit this work and find a job again. And I really don't like thinking of that, so I want to make sure that we're selling enough. There's some other things I'm planning on, for example, selling stuff from other people. I'm not doing that much at this moment. I am selling some membranes, but it's merely because people sometimes want to combine an order instead of ordering from two places. But when I have to sell membranes, they're more expensive compared to other sites, because I have to add VAT and some other stuff. I just cannot sell them for the same amount. The only way of doing that, and Peter's in the chat, so I know he's listening, is when I order them from China directly, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to compete with others for those products. So only want to add products to my assortment. So there won't be any negative feelings amongst the entrepreneurs in the ZX Spectrum community. But I might have to make enough money to keep doing this, and I think everyone benefits from that. So not only myself, but also people that resell my products. And one of the most important things maybe is that when I'm developing and selling new products, the whole community benefits from that. I mean, there's more and more interest in ZX Spectrum stuff and retro community in general. So I think it's good to keep up with this work, not only for making a living, but also keeping the community alive, and even more alive than ever, I think. Just think of when we would not have the opportunities that Facebook and other solutions offer. Of course, we had a World of Spectrum, which has done its job for years, and I really pains me when I think back of the crash, the database crash, and the changes that were made. But many people told me back then, when that occurred, what is it, 5 years ago or something, that people were getting over to Facebook anyway. So for many people it wasn't a big deal that World of Spectrum was getting in trouble. But I think the feeling of using that forum was a lot better than on Facebook. That was my experience. And using a forum really helps gathering information instead of posting topics over and over again about the same topics, on Facebook, for example. So Facebook is not a forum. Facebook has groups, but it's not the same as a forum. And I really miss some features that World of Spectrum offered in the past. But things change, so I should not be too sad about it. Things just change, So let's get along with the change and not get over it. Let's see, I have one left here. Where should that go? Look. Yeah, here it is. Right. Mark, my mother comes from Indonesia as well. But she was 4 when she came to Holland, so I have the dark hair, but that's about all. And I like Indonesian food. Okay, 100k. But I just hope we're not finding out that we're related, we're brothers or something, when we're already related in another way. That would be awkward. But I have many relatives that have more connections to Indonesia than I do. Uncles, aunts, and nieces and nephews. Right, next. Let me check my messages. Still, I'm live, yay! Oh, let me put on the lights because I can do that now. As you know, I can switch on all the lights now. Oh, that's wrong. Get up. 2K2. Still want to continue working on the lighting here because I want to add some Sinclair colors that will also automatically switch on when I get upstairs. Enough IDs, not enough time. So one reason why I try to get on on YouTube a lot is to make the channel grow, because I wish I had more time to just being creative, and I can't because I have to do a lot of production work and order handling, and processing. So I like to create more revenues, have some more income sources, and I can spend some more time on being creative because all the ideas I think they're nice, but I just cannot do them all. There's so many things I would like to do. For example, I still have a C5 in my barn, so a Sinclair C5, which I would really like to work on, but I just can't at this moment. I really want to drive that one again. And let's see, the 100k should be a 10k, I saw in my notes here. There are many new projects which I need to work on, not only for just being creative, but also to make sure that sales will grow instead of decline. because once many people have bought your stuff, you have to develop new stuff. It's called marketing. Otherwise, you'll stop selling stuff. It's easy. And of course, I like to make cool new products. So maybe you've seen some posts about existing products with a new case design, the PCB case design, budget case design. I think there is enough market for that. There are many different types of people. There are people who want the best of the best. There are people who want to have it as cheap as possible. And there are some people in between who would like a case, but not the most expensive one. Power is green. So I really should offer choices. And I am. So there will be plenty of choices. For example, the ZX HD is now available with the cool case design, which needs to be shipped in a box, for example. It's not the biggest problem, but because otherwise it won't fit in the letterbox if I assemble it for people. And the new version will also be flat, but it will have the case assembled already. So it will be the PCB case type. And there will be two versions of the new ZX HD. One will be the cheapest one with joystick connector and the HDMI output at the back. And another one will have a throughput edge connector, and you may guess that there's no space putting a joystick interface or joystick port and a HDMI output at the back as well. So those will be at the top and at the side. And I think that one will have two joystick ports. So people can choose between the cheapest one with some more features, and the one with the, let's call it vertical case, which I think is the best looking, but people decide for themselves. And for me it's not a big difference, because I always aim to make the same hourly profit, which for me is important to keep doing this, of course. But the new ZX HD designs will be a lot less work, because it will only consist of one board with only two connectors, the edge connector and a pin header. And the older one has four connectors and some other extra things, so it will be a lot simpler for me to assemble. And I decided to just include the Raspberry Pi on the board already, so it's completely assembled, because I don't think anyone will complain about that. According to the licensing rules of HDMI organization, you cannot sell a product with a HDMI connection if you do not have a license for that. But I think I can get away with assembling the Raspberry Pi, because the connection is not on my board. It's still the Raspberry Pi that creates the HDMI output, and for that a license has already been paid by Raspberry Org Foundation. So that should be good enough. I think I picked all the parts already, so I like to pick most of the parts before starting a new batch of products. So they're in a box already. That will make it possible to assemble 5 of these within 1.5 hours, I think. How long are we streaming? Let's see. There's no clock anywhere. Oh, about an hour already. Time flies. Alright. These are so-called mini-melv diodes, which are round, so they roll. It's kind of a pain to use them, but I still have enough of these in stock, so I decided to just empty the stock and then buy new ones. So I really like to do a video every day, and maybe I will record some videos from time to time to make that possible, because I'm not always there's not always the space here or the quietness that's needed for making videos. So I might record some other videos, and I will not talk that much then, because there's no one to chat with if I pre-record it. But I like to get to one video every day. For me, that's quite important, and I can see that the revenue is growing when I do that. So that's why I want to do that. And also, I like to just chat with you guys. So if there's anything you want to chat about, let me know, and we will do that. Looking in the sun at the moment, as you can see. It's not a big issue. Can close the blinds, but I'm lazy. So yesterday I watched the final episode of the season from The Mandalorian, and I liked it. Though I expected a bit more of a extreme ending, we call it, but it was still cool. We'll see what season 2 brings. And that will take about a year, but because it's scheduled for release in fall 2020, so it will take some time. But I liked it. I guess many people are watching The Mandalorian. I should say I had to cancel my Disney Plus subscription, but it will continue until 13th of January, I think. Because my motto is that I will not use more than one streaming service. So I wanted to get to Netflix, so I did that. So I watched season 4 of Black Mirror. Very cool, by the way, with Miley Cyrus and some other cool episodes. So I'm watching Netflix at this moment mainly, and we'll see what is next. So I think next is Amazon Prime for Star Trek Picard, and then I think Hulu for was it Hulu? I think so. Hulu for The Orville season 3. So I'm going to switch, and people here need to get used to that idea, because some people here in my family think that they can have Disney Plus or something else all the time throughout the year, but they won't. So they have to. Of course, I discuss it with them which service we will take and which time in the year. And I will not take them all. People have to learn that you have a budget for some things, you know. I'm not taking all. Kids have to learn. Right. All these and parts are soldered here. Next one. Some other series I like on Netflix are The Good Place. It's mainly because I'm a big fan of Kristen Bell. So I like that series. I've not watched the last season completely, season 4 I think. Still watching it. And I must admit that I've seen about everything I like on Netflix, so I can't wait for Star Trek Picard in spring, a couple of months. What is it, February or something?
We'll see.
We're also talking about creative things, which I was doing half an hour ago. I would really like spending some time on developing new stuff for SpectraNet, and I have to get to know the API. I still haven't spent much time on that because I needed most of the time for just building the interfaces, you know. But I really like to learn about multiplayer features. What options do we have? Can we even use some smart options from BASIC, which for me is important because I always start getting to know something new from BASIC, whatever it is. And if it's good enough, I will even think of developing assembler routines for it. For example, I did it with my laser harp. So I started from BASIC and later on I put it in machine code because it wasn't fast enough from BASIC. But I want to learn to use stuff from BASIC because you can quite easily program anything from that. And the SpectraNet API is really powerful even from BASIC as far as I've seen and read. So I'm curious about that. And I might have told it before, but I'm curious about if it's possible to create some two-player game without using a server in between. So I really would like to be able to write a game, something simple to start with, and people can join the game or load the game and wait for another player to come in without a server in between. I'm really curious if that will work. Some people will say no, it won't in practice, but I'm really curious if something smart can be thought of. Because adding some server-side stuff will make it a lot more complex, you know. Another thing I could do is put a Spectrum, install a Spectrum as a server. That's possible as well with the API. And maybe that will work as an in-between server for some simple games. It could work. Because I'm a lot quicker programming on a Spectrum than programming on Linux or something else. So we just got started with SpectraNet, you know. I think how many people do we have on now? I think about 80 from the ones I made, and Dylan Smith made some more. I think 75 or 100. So at this moment there are about 150 people who have a SpectraNet in place, and that number will grow in the future. I'm sure of that. So it's just a matter of time. But also we need some people to start with developing some things. And maybe, what do you guys think of creating videos about my experiences with the API when it comes to developing simple basic games or something else? But to share my experiences and show people how easy, air quotes, how easy it is. Because of course developing anything requires some creative skills. You have to think of something you want to program, but it could be as easy as I don't know, something from BASIC on screen, you know, tennis, for example, something like that. So I hope people like that. Right. SNDR is on. Let's get to the next one. Yep, sockets. Right. Let's get in the suckers. Let's raise the temperature a bit. So I can drag the solder instead of doing them one by one. Try to use drag soldering whenever I can, because it speeds up a lot. But you need lead-free solder is the easiest because the temperature is lower, and you need a good soldering station. And this is not the best. It's the cheapest weather, and it's a shitty station. Don't buy it. Should have bought a better one or something, or a Hecko. Hecko is better for the price. So next time we'll buy a Hecko. Hecko, what is it? Since I do so much soldering, especially lead-free, the tip of this welder needs to be replaced about once every 2 months. For some people it might be a lot, but it's really not. I use it so much because I build hundreds of boards each month, so it's not that strange. I think I will need to fire up the extraction node now. You can smell the fumes, I don't like that. My health is important. I also hope to reintroduce the ByteDelight weekly shows in the future. But so much things have changed throughout the last month that I really needed to pause them and get onto the main core business before getting back to that. But they will be back because so much is going on in the community every week. But doing a live show every week really takes about half a day of preparations and gathering topics and setting up the stage here. So I really have to create time for that. But they will be back. I think I should raise the temperature just a bit more. This is still not going easy enough. Yeah, that's better. Right? you do hundreds of boards, Jean-Claude, you will be able to do it faster. It's just experience. Of course, quality is important, so I have to check everything again. I'm doing more and more about the pick and place machine, so everything is speeding up. But getting there takes months of time planning. And just like the Kenson mouse interface I did yesterday, these PlusDlites are also a niche, so they don't sell that much, as many that I can. It's worth putting them on a pick and place machine. But still, if you think of it, I need about 2 hours to complete these and test them. Might sound fast, but it's really not. If you're doing it for a living, it's not that much. So I have to. And not only these, but a lot more things in a day. It's just work, you know. It's fun and it's my hobby, but it's also still work. So that's what that's what my mindset is. Just need to get this done. Of course, it's the coolest thing if you have developed boards like these yourself. It's based, of course, on another interface, but it's still cool to create your own stuff. So maybe that fits the best to myself, being a creator. Not a YouTube creator, but I like to create things. I like to develop, design, build, produce, sell. I don't think I would like it just being just selling stuff, and I don't think I would like it just developing and stuff, and I don't think I like it just producing. So it's the combination of developing, producing, and selling. That's what I like to do. But it's complex because it takes a lot of time, focus, and to be honest, that was my biggest trouble in the past, and still is, by the way. Focus. I'm an artist, and my mind goes everywhere all the time. So for me, it's very hard to put my mind on one thing at a time. But I just have to. There's no excuse. I just need to focus and switch my focus dozens of times in a day to be able to do this. But for me, it's really hard. I'm not sure how other people feel about it, but switching between processing messages and emails and processing orders and packing stuff and building stuff and developing stuff, it's really hard to do, but I just need to do it. So I need to learn to teach myself to be very flexible. I think I could write a book about how this is as an artist. It's not easy, but it can be done. It's just harder. Other people may have less problems with that. For me, it's really hard. It feels like an extremely tough job to do, but I want to do it. I want to do it. This is what I want to do. Even though I'm struggling, even though it's costing me more than what I feel is natural for me, I still want to do it. Maybe I'm crazy. So I think I can do 5 of these within 2 hours.
I think we're in working 1.5 hour now. Let me check. I can't see. I'm not sure because I'm not watching the stream here. Let me check if I can see it. Just over an hour.
Right. So I'm getting close to finishing these boards. So 1.5 hours finishing them, and then of course they need testing. And these boards with all the old parts, and there are really a lot of old parts in this board. They need proper testing, so they should be tested for 1.5 hours or something, at least. And that's because there are 2 gal chips on this board. One for the PlusD features and one for the joystick interface. It's an old design, but if I would replace that, that would cost me hours, almost a day maybe, and that's not worth the trouble. So the gal chips are also old stock. I think most of them, although they're always sold as new old stock, most of them probably are used. I'm not sure how long, but I had some batches in the past that got hot for some reason. Don't know why. And they tend to fail after a while. So I really check if the chips are good enough and if I can use them in my boards. Then there's the floppy disk chip, Western Digital 1772. That's also available from VLSI, so that's the VL1772, but they're getting extremely expensive. I was able to find a couple for, what was it, 15 euro something, so the chip is extremely expensive. But we cannot do anything about that, so we just have to try to keep finding them. And of course the price will get up. It's already gone up a bit because of that. So it's a niche product that is also getting harder to be able to offer for the same price. I just have to increase the price a bit to keep offering it. That's not what I want. I like to lower prices if I can, so more people have the opportunity of obtaining something. The only goal I have with setting a price is that it's, for me it's realistic to make them so I can pay my house, my food, the stuff for my kids, for myself, clothes, you know, that sort of thing you need. Car. And life is expensive, especially here in Holland. And I need to make quite an income every hour. So that's what I do. Next, crystal, the capacitor needs to get in now. Sometimes I think about employees, but I really wonder if I can find people that can do it as fast as I do for a reasonable salary. I think in this brand, this work is quite hard to find people that will make it good enough to pay them. So I prefer to think of taking employees for other stuff like making daily videos, editing them, and maybe operating the pick and place machine, you know, that sort of stuff. But we'll see in the future. I also try to get my wife and do more, but she's not very technically experienced, so I can ask her to do things that are not too complex to do. That's not a problem. There's enough to do here. Of course, one reason of not taking employees is that if I would, I would have to move out of this space here and get a proper business location. I'm not willing to do that right now. My kids are still very young, and for me it's important to be close to them and spend the time that's needed. Hey, Peter. Good afternoon. Is it snowy in Finland? Because it's cold here, so I always guess it's even colder in countries like Finland. I really wish I could do some skiing, but I don't have the time for it at this moment. Maybe we will go to Winterberg in Germany for a weekend or something. Alright, last part, the dip switch. Cool. So you got a bit of snow. Very nice. I hope you're having a holiday at this moment, because here people in Holland, they really hate it when it's snowing, because everyone is on the road all the time for work, and people tend to hate snow here in Holland. And I like it a lot. When it's snowing, it's almost paradise. It's just cold, but it's so quiet and so beautiful to watch, you know. I like snow. I'm really living in the wrong country, I think. For me, then, personally. I would like to go to Canada or California or something to get more snow. Floppy connectors, I forgot to pick them. So when I assemble boards like this, I always start with the lowest parts and continue up to installing the highest parts. That's the most logic thing to do. Easiest for assembling parts. And so I'm waiting with the joystick connectors. They're up next. You must live outside your city as well, then, Peter. You must work, sorry. You must work outside the city. Why is this connector not getting in? Right. Almost done. I like hot summers, Ben, but only when I'm doing nothing. But I can have snow every day. Snow. I think snow is more beautiful than the summer, and if you ask me, but it is my personal opinion. It's the only thing I regret not doing earlier in my life, getting on skis, being in the snow. I don't know. I just like it a lot. We have some friends from Brazil. Some friends from Brazil that came over in July, August, I think, and they're still here, and they've only seen snow once before as well, in Hungary, I think. They spent some time in Hungary some time ago. Anyway, they haven't seen a lot of snow, so let's see if they like it when snow falls here in Holland. If there's snow anyway, because you never know here. Global warming, we don't have much snow anymore. So you never see Holland participating in skiing events and so, only ice skating. That's the only thing that Holland is good at. Alright, really almost done. I think that no one likes rain. Rain always makes me sad. You cannot get outside, cannot do much outside when it's raining. Right. It's nice weather today. Still see the sun. Right. So the interesting things of next weeks are, for example, the ZX Spectrum Next cases that should arrive very soon now. I think I will order one as well because I have the development board, but I don't have the case yet. Then there are some new games coming up from the what was the team called? Senkos? I don't know. I have to check. The Russian team or Ukrainian team that develops some new game like Power Blade, which is very exciting for ZX Spectrum and ZX Spectrum Next. And there are even some more games I've seen throughout last year that not many people know of, but are really well written and much better than any game I've seen in the past. Maybe not the gameplay, but the way the games are written. That's what I mean. Very fluid, and I've even found a game that you can play with the mouse, and it has a frame per second indicator on screen. Who would expected that on a ZX Spectrum, you know? Really, really cool. So it shows how many frames it renders per second. Really cool game, by the way. It's a sort of a commando style, but you can play it with a mouse, and it's very fun to play. I want to do a video on it very soon. What else new is coming? Let me think. I have some ideas for new interfaces, but all on time. I think the next month I will bring some combined interfaces, so ZX HD with DivMC and joystick, for example, and maybe even a ZX AY interface built in, so AY chip. Could make that optional. But also we have things like the Div GMX interface. I have one here now. I just have to find time to start testing it, and that could be a good alternative instead of combining all the discrete or all the separate interfaces into one, because that will be quite expensive. And although I'm trying to combine CPLDs as well, but it would be interesting to see if an FPGA-based interface would be able to do that and even add more features without too many parts. So I'm curious about that. I have to check it out. I still need to do a video on the MBO3 interface. Still haven't done that. And I need to dig into the Plus3 that I bought with the Arabic ROM, which is very interesting. There's only one in existence as far as people know. I think more will have been made, but so far we've only seen one. So let's see what else we can develop. Yeah, Peter, I have them in the web shop, actually. You can find them in parts on ZXSpectrum.shop. You can also search for them in the web shop. If you type in Edge Connector, you will find them. They're ready-made, so you can use them on devices. Actually, I have two types of them, and I do not sell these ones. These are the ones that sit a bit more tough around the Edge Connector of the Spectrum. And these are good for large interfaces, but for smaller interfaces I use the other ones that I have plenty of, thousands. And those are the ones that I offer in the web shop. These you can buy on eBay, these connectors, but they're a bit too tough around the ZX Spectrum Edge connector, so I prefer the other ones. And hence I only offer those on the web shop. I sell quite a lot of those edge connectors because sometimes people develop an interface and they need them, and they ask me for the connectors, and sometimes I sell them in dozens, hundreds. Of course, they need some time to prepare, hence they're not that cheap. But I prepare them by hand, not by hand, with a machine, a bandsaw machine, but still. I do them manually on that machine. But they're available. It's quite hard to obtain them, by the way. Good ones, old stock. And if you want, I think they will be made still sometimes, but then you have to pay 6-7 pounds or euro for that each. That's way too much. So new ones aren't interesting at all. The only reason that I would be interested in new ones is if I can find edge connectors with the long pins. So the 2 centimeter pins on them. These are only short pins. Right. So we're done with the boards. Let's get the parts on. And first, not forget the serial numbers. '86, '87, '88, '89, '90. And it's the 28th today. I'm getting new serial number labels next week. Those will be silver labels. They will look a lot better and they will stick better to the boards, because I have no idea how long these ones will stay on. I hope forever, but I'm not sure. So I actually ordered proper labels for serial numbers. Those will arrive next week. Okay, next parts. Let me check. Whoop. So let's start with the floppy disk controllers. I need one more. Yeah, those are not the correct ones, so this one doesn't have one yet. Then I need to make some new ROMs, I see. Alright, then we have the GAL chips, and these are the joystick GAL chips. So I need to make more of these as well. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Right. So we need to do some programming for extra parts, and have to insert the S27, I think, and the 175. Yep. And I see I need to order some more of these in the future, so but I do about a monthly purchasing roundup. I have a sheet for that, so we won't have to do that right now. Right,
think we're done. Just need to find some extra parts. I have them in stock, but I just need to program them. Let's do a quick check. Let me show you one for the result. If the camera wants to help. I think it's an autofocus, isn't it? Yep, it is. But yeah, there it is. So, PlusDlight. It's not focusing at all. It's just a cheap ass camera, you know. Anyway, so these are ready. We'll test them later. Next things I have to assemble are +3 power supplies and dual floppy drive sets, and I think that's about it for the open orders at this moment, so that would be good. And I can ship out everything, but I'm not there yet. So, I think that's it for now. If you guys have anything else to ask me, then please put it in the comments underneath the video. I will reply to them, and I will see you in the next video. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye.